Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, September 29th. This is Nadex Morning Analysis, where we look at hotspots in the markets for the day. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. Before Brian and I jump into it today, we do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And lastly, this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. So, what are we looking at today in terms of what is moving? Uh, Here's what we're going to talk about today. First, we're going to start off with oil because oil is moving. It has been volatile. It is bouncing around right now. If you take a look from the lows to the highs, it's bouncing between the 23 and the 38 fib levels on the retracement. But we will look at the charts and take a look at a little bit more in depth there. We'll take a look at what the inventory numbers were from yesterday, but more importantly, today at 10:30 is the oil inventory report, not the industry one, but the official one, where we will get a glimpse at what the supply looks like in the U.S. And that is that has been what has been challenging oil globally, have been supply challenges, which is why we've seen oil run up. So we will take a peek at oil. The other thing we're going to take a peek at, the pound is still volatile and is showing some additional weakness following yesterday's pretty dramatic move. And then we're going to look over at the equities markets because the equities are trying to open in the green after yesterday's sell-off. As I mentioned, we are going to talk about that 10:30 oil inventory report, and then we do have another big event happening at 11:45 a.m. Eastern this morning. There is an ECB, a European Central Bank forum, and we've got all of the heads of the central banks speaking on a panel. So you've got Powell from the Fed, you got Bailey from the Bank of England, you've got Lagarde from the European Central Bank, and we even have Kuroda from the Bank of Japan. So that should be interesting on any comments that come out of that. Everyone will be paying attention. So with that, Brian, let's jump over and we'll quickly go through oil, the pound, and we'll look into those equities in context of what's going on today for potential opportunities.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely a day of, and I like to say it's not really different speeches; they're all at the same type of event. But this morning we have 10 a.m. pending home sales. That number it's been kind of interesting. It bounces back and forth, but it isn't necessarily a large market mover, except if you're trading kind of the home builders. And I mean, I guess some.
Uh-oh. It looks like we just lost Brian. This is being delivered over the internet, and the internet being the internet, everything is not wholly reliable. I'm hoping that Brian figures that out and he's able to come back in. So I'm going to step in. Um, I know that he was talking. And I can't attest to where he was going with the home sales on that, but I am going to let's drop this link into the chat. I do want people to see the economic calendar that I'm looking at, which I pick up from over on Daily FX website. And again, let's just pull this over here so you can see it. Boink, and let's do that. I think that should help. Oh, maybe not. Hang on a second. Now I'm moving too many things all at once. There we go. Sorry about that. Let's do that. There we go. Boom. Haha, I figured it out. All right, so yes, we've got the oil inventory reports. If I want to go back to yesterday, because Brian did mention that there was the API report yesterday in oil, and I am going to scroll down, and you can actually see this is interesting. Is yesterday afternoon, according to the API, the crude oil inventory, we were forecasting to be depleting our oil supplies. I love the comments. Oh my God, you killed Kenny, you bastards. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we got to laugh at technology. Sometimes it just does that. oil inventory actually came in much higher than expected, came in way higher than expected, which is why you saw oil. And if I go back to the chart now, there we go. Which is why you saw oil did roll over. Now we did bounce at the opening of the, because when the European trader stepped in, when the European trader stepped in, if you're still paying attention over in the UK, they still are having shortages. They are running dry at the pump. And so when the UK trader stepped in, we did bounce. Again, that was, if you look at the retracement levels from the recent run up, it has been bouncing it bounced off the 38 retracement level. We did pop up to this 23. It looks like we're trying to consolidate here, but pay attention to what happens when the US gives what I'll call the more, it's not an industry number. The industry actually has a vested interest one way or the other. But the EIA report at 10:30 this morning, take a look at oil. We're going to see some volatility potentially based upon how these numbers come in, based upon what we saw yesterday. Oh, and we've got Brian back.
Kind of, maybe. Let's see.
Yeah, the running joke is a South Park joke. Oh my God, they killed
Yeah.
Brian.
It was weird. Like
So-
everything just blinked off, and then I got it almost back up, and everything blinked off a second time. So
it's called
obviously there's utility
the
charts in my
internet.
neighborhood.
It's called the
Yes.
internet. All right, so I
Probably.
actually have gone through the charts of oil. We went over the API numbers from yesterday where we blew out, and we have all sorts of supply
Mhm.
in the US. And now we're going to wait and see what the EIA number is this morning. So from there, let's go ahead and roll over to the pound. If you want to
Did you
just jump into
fibs
the
on it or no?
pound.
Did you show the fibs on oil? Just wondering.
Yeah, we're all good. Oil's covered. Oil's covered. We can keep going.
Okay. Yeah, there's a 50% fib level right there. So I want to make sure everybody saw that in oil. What was the next one? I'm sorry.
Let's jump into the pound where it's seeing some continued weakness, and
Yeah.
we could potentially. I don't know what we'll see in FX in general with all of the central bank folks on a single
Mhm.
panel, although it's a virtual panel at 11:45 this morning. So
Yeah.
FX could be kind of entertaining.
Yeah, so yesterday during our session, we talked about the pound continuing to be weak, and we were kind of looking for a bottom on it, and we kind of had, we kind of in there, we were looking for a pullback too. So 2 days ago on Monday, we talked about this 50 breaking through 150.94, and we did break through it. And again, Harry Potter, we're typically looking for pullbacks, any type of basing. So by price moving sideways here, this is the basing that we were looking for. Now, the level of stabilization, we ended up not being able to use the level here because we had one sitting right above the level. So remember, we're always taking the one that's a little bit farther away, but you got to find basing when it gets to the level. Sometimes it comes down and bases right here. Sometimes in this case, it based right here, right above. But we're looking for that basing.
That's the pound yen.
Yeah, this pound yen.
Okay, sorry. I had the pound euro in the background.
Yeah, no, this pound yen. So yeah, so pound yen ended up punching through and going all the way down. And we talked about 150.31 yesterday. So again, if you're missing the Tuesday afternoon program, it is on YouTube. Make sure you go watch it after the fact. This was a decent setup, and again, it triggered. I mean, really, I would say that this is more or less the session open based trade that you could have taken a little bit earlier in the overnight. Right there, there's your session open right there. So. Right now, what it's doing is it's continuing to push lower. And again, the problem with this is there's not really a great area of buyers anywhere down here that we can say, hey, listen, when this comes down, that's where we're looking to buy. The freshest level is all the way down here at 148.77. That's 140 pips away. So, I mean, we're talking about still some major movement to the downside. I'd say right now, I mean, there's not really a whole lot. The news today, yeah, Bailey is speaking, but again, it is an ECB forum, so it's kind of not necessarily. I mean, it's basically saying that this is a potential hot button. Anything could happen at this time. We don't know, but there's all these big names are all have the opportunity to speak today. I don't know that Bailey will really talk about much, and again, the rest of the week we really don't have much to really kind of counterbalance it. I still believe that what we talked about yesterday and Monday is true. We are looking for a bottom in there, but we just don't have an area where we really have great buyers. So there is a way to continue this to the downside. There has been some, pullbacks, but really right now we really don't have much until we get down a bit lower. So I would say stay with it. The biggest concern on this one is, profit taking. It has moved quite a distance away from where we originally got in yesterday, but you can see yesterday's movement, right? Yesterday's really kind of big push. Yet today is not the same type of push down yet. It is starting to slow. So Again, do you want to jump in, continue it? I think there's probably a little bit more room to go in it. But as far as a great setup right now, I would say we're so close to the U.S. Open. This will be affected by the yen, so you got to kind of watch out for it there. And then pound dollar, it's kind of the same thing. It came down, and we marked this as a target yesterday. You can see it in the yellow, coming down to the 135.27. And you can see what it did. It came down and it literally rode, kept eroding a lot of the buyers in there, hit it again, and then hit it again, and started basing through there. Again, that's a sign it's breaking. And now we just broke through the bottom side of that one finally. So,
Yeah.
even the pound dollar, I
in
would
some
say
of these shorter duration binaries, we're even getting towards the bottom of. I mean, we're blowing
Yeah.
through these again. There's still an hour to go, and I think there's only one one binary still below.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
Yeah,
pound.
there is a level actually. If you're looking on the 4-hour, and you guys know that I love 4-hour charts, I'll bring it over. Here's a 4-hour level. I like the way this formation happened. My students really know that I like this pattern where you have 3 ascending wicks higher, and we have a 1 candle base on the bottom. It's also a 4-hour time frame, and it was tested right here. So those are all typically pretty good signs. Again, when we start stacking the odds in our favor, love the zone formation. Love that it's already been tested once. There were buyers in there, and it barely breached it whatsoever. And now that's sitting kind of right below where we are. And we're driving towards it right now. So I love the entry coming in. And this is pound dollar. So question is, do we have a reversal coming up? Again, 4-hour charts
For
are a
that
little bit
reversal
different,
again, you'd
guys.
be
They're
looking
larger
for
time
some.
frame.
You'd be looking for some basing.
Yeah, I mean, well,
And
4-hour
maybe
windows
even a
could just turn
confirmation
in.
like a Harry Potter.
Yeah, 4 hours could turn and flip, and that's what I was trying to see if we had much in the dollar. The dollar index being at 94 is pretty high. Yeah, I don't even have anything on the 30-minute up there. Let me go to a 4-hour real quick. Let me see. Yeah, dollar index is an area right around. It's kind of. You can see that when price gets up here, I mean, it hit and dropped. It hit and dropped right above that 42 level, right around where we're at. I'm sorry, 94-ish level. 94 is high for the dollar index. So um, any type of dovish or bad news this morning would turn and roll this. Again, this is on a 4-hour. This is a pretty big drive up. So I would say it is lining up on a larger time frame basis. The dollar index is there's a lot of chop up there. There are sellers coming in, but there's not really like a clear level. And let's see, even on the lower time frames right now, yeah, it's starting to have a little bit of a hiccup. So we'll see. I mean, the overnight, remember, a more expensive dollar is not necessarily good for U.S. companies because it costs other countries more money to purchase and buy things from the United States. So while everybody thinks that, like, Larry Kudlow was like king dollar, it has some benefits, but it also has some weaknesses. Like when the dollar is very expensive, it is very cheap for us to buy things from other countries, but it hurts the profits of our companies here. So it's easy to acquire, hard for hard for us to export. And again, that import export ratio kind of does matter. And again, that's how companies stimulate their profits. So I would say
Right.
it is lining up in an interesting thing. Again, on a larger time frame, I wouldn't mess around with it too much. But after 2 days of straight down, I would say that the pound is probably looking for some type of a retracement. And again, maybe look to see if there's a knockout or something down there.
So, all right. Well, I'll let everyone do their homework on that one, but there
Sure.
is an interesting level down below, and check them all out. Check out the pound yen. Check out the pound dollar. Even look up above with the euro pound, but the maybe see some turn in the pound
Mhm.
potentially to get some profit taking as the European traders step off and the U.S. traders step in. The last thing I wanted to bring up this morning, I thought it would be kind of interesting to just take a look at a couple of the charts. Yesterday, clearly, equities got decimated. We
Mhm.
are seeing them try to open in the green this morning. I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
take a quick peek. Let's look at one of them. Let's look at the Nasdaq because that has
Yeah.
clearly
The
been the
Nasdaq is
most
the one that got blown
volatile.
up yesterday. Yeah, you can see that we had that one level we were kind of shooting for lower. We didn't have any numbers on it. We were really looking for a push lower, and it looks like that. I mean, it didn't quite get there, but the 14,735 was the area that we were looking for a bottom. And again, we got the bottom. We got a pretty nice little base. Again, let me bring this down to a 15-minute. Whoops, not 30. Nope, 30, 15. There we go. So you can see we made these 3 attempts, and again, when you're throwing on that level of basing, you had multiple opportunities to be able to get in the overnight. And let's see, European session started right here. Here is your European session-based trade, and the Europeans have already started to turn it around and kind of retrace what we saw today. And again, it says that it's up 0.57, so that's not necessarily horrible. I would say we have this big old 15,000 looming right above us, about 120 points above. With the news today, Pending home sales may move it a little bit. Crude oil probably won't do too much. And then again, we'll see what we get here. Let me see. Is there any lower quality news?
And not really much
Boston is
anything.
speaking at 2, and that's kind of it. Yeah. So there's not really a whole lot there. So with lack of any news, I would say that they're probably due for more of a rebound. But like I said, it depends what they mention. The global conference, things that they could potentially talk about on a large spectrum is that global tax that everybody was all for, and then we haven't heard anything about it in 4 months. That is something that could come up. Inflation and energies could come up, and obviously global COVID recovery and when things are going to start
Right.
moving.
Because every
Um,
pocket, everyone's a little different.
yeah, they're all different. So that I think that could help here. Russell's the other one that is kind of pushing and rolling. YM, they all look basically the same. They're all pulling back, and then once the
Yep.
European market stepped in, they started to short them. ES is identical as well. It came up, kind of formed a base on the 15-minute and pushed lower. So right now, with lack of any news, the Europeans have tried to drive the U.S. market down, and they've driven the dollar up. Could there be a reversal right now with the session change? I would say probably. That we've seen that trend multiple times where the European session sends us one direction and then U.S. is
U.S.
good
sends it
opposite.
another.
Mhm.
All right, excellent. Barring any more technical glitches uh, on the internet,
If I
streaming
crash
video.
again, you're good. You don't need me
with,
anymore.
with that, got any questions for Nadex? Please email us customerservice@nadex.com. Any questions for Brian, you can email Brian at support@keeptradingsimple.com. And again, really what we were talking about today, oil is a hot spot. It has been moving around. Check your fib levels. Also be aware that at 10:30 a.m. there is that oil inventory report, and the API number yesterday. We've got plenty of supply here in the U.S. Maybe not the case in the UK and other areas globally, but we'll see what the U.S. number looks like. And then at 11:45 a.m., everyone's going to have their ears open with that European Central Bank Forum and all of the central banks there speaking. The Fed, the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan. So be aware. That could potentially move some markets. With that, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for putting up with our minor technical glitch,
Yeah,
and we will
bad.
catch and we will catch you all tomorrow morning. Good luck in the markets, everyone.